Hey you guys, it's LaEtna here, coming to you with a video about how I asked God to use me for His will, and I got sentenced to 10 months county jail. My first time ever being arrested, I honestly can't say how many times I've been arrested, but my first time being arrested, I was 14 years old. I got into it with my brother and I pulled a knife out, and I was arrested. My mom called the police and I was arrested for that. So, and no, I didn't cut anyone, but I did get arrested for having the knife. So that was a felony. I did 21 days in juvenile detention center, and I stayed on probation until I aged out at the age of 18. So I stayed on probation until the age of 14 to 18. I did go to a program. I ended up doing 7 months in that level 6 program. And this would be the second time that I've had to do some time. I was charged with a DV domestic charge. This was my second time being charged with it. The first time it was dropped. The second time it was picked up by the state. I'm in a situation with a girlfriend that I'm dating. Been with this girl 13 years. I'm losing over this girl. Things are not working out. What they said I was being locked up for was for hitting her in the head with a hammer. Even though it wasn't proven, I still got charged with that. The judge wanted to know what weapon was used in the altercation between me and my ex-girlfriend. The doctor's report said that they didn't know what it was, but the victim said that it was a hammer, which broke my heart. It broke my heart because I wouldn't ever hit anybody with a hammer. Like, it would really have to be some life or death, and that's just not a natural, normal thought to be thinking about hitting somebody in the head with a hammer. And honestly, if I had hit that girl in the head with a hammer, she would not be here today. What I actually hit her with was, you know how you have those keychains? Lanyard. I can't think of what it's called, but the little keychain that your keys hold around your neck. Me and her are kind of going back and forth, and I have the keys with the keychain and I swing it at her. When I swing those keys on that necklace, it hits her on the side of her head or somewhere in her head, and it, like the key, the house key, it's only one house key on there. It cuts her head. It cuts her head. And from that, they said I hit her in the head with a hammer. And yeah, that's what got me. That was my original charge. They were sentencing me to 60 days originally, but because I got caught in Orlando and I got caught with the victim when I wasn't supposed to be around her, I was sentenced to 10 months. All right, so long story short, once I got sentenced with the DV charge with my ex-girlfriend, I end up being homeless. I end up losing my job. I just was all around felt discombobulated, and I had already been moving on from my ex-girlfriend, so I was still young and desperate in the heart, really seeking love for just, I guess, desperately just needing someone, wanting someone to love me. And I met this guy from church, and he was kind of keeping my mind, you know, keeping me a little, you know, being there for me. And I realized that I wasn't moving smart, and I was feeling lost and desperate and worried about just the wrong things in my life, and I needed a real change. And I cried out and prayed to God. I just was like, just hard down crying, Lord, like, I need you. You can use me. What you need me to do, I'll do. I'll do what you need me to do. Because it was just like something gotta give. I need a change. Like, I'm at rock bottom. It's nowhere to go. So Lord, use me. I need a change. Use me. Probably like 2 days later, I got sentenced to 10 months. I got sentenced to 10 months in county jail in Rock Road. And I thought I had it in the bag at first because I just, you know what I'm saying? I didn't do what they said I did. And I didn't understand how I was being sentenced to 10 months. Homeless, I'm living with extended family. I can't be around the girl. I start sneaking being around my ex-girlfriend, still trying to like hang out around her and stuff. We end up getting caught. I caught an extra charge. I drove to Orlando trying to get signed up with housing because they had notified me saying, hey, your name has come up on the waiting list. Come on, let's, do the paperwork. So I tried to get to Orlando and handle that. On my way back, the pretrial people with the ankle bracelet on your leg, they were calling my phone on the way back from Orlando. So I'm scared, but I'm like, I just didn't answer. So I think I had to go to court in a few days anyways. I went to court, and as soon as I went into the pretrial office, they handcuffed me then. So I knew I was going to jail. When I went to jail, they told me everything and that they was going to run it concurrent. And I ended up not seeing my children until about 8 months later. I didn't get to see them, tell them bye, that I was leaving, and they were in school, and I just didn't see my kids anymore until 8 months later. So the first day while I'm in Rock Road, I'm in county jail, I'm mad. I'm upset. I'm hurt because all I know is like, God, I actually use me. I just knew like you're going to get me through this. Like, you definitely wouldn't put no more on me than I can bear. And I'm already to the point I can't bear. Like, I literally can't bear. So the first week there, I slept. I didn't really want to eat. And all I could think is like, how am I? Because I didn't know they cut your time down. I didn't know you get like 10 days or so many days knocked off for good behavior. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have 10 months. These people just gave me 10 months that I'm not going to see my children. That was my main thing. I promise, if I was able to have my phone and have my children with me in there, I ain't gonna lie, it would have been a piece of cake. It wouldn't have been nothing to me like that. But the fact that I couldn't be with my children, see my children, and really even talk to them as much as I wanted to, that was driving me insane. So my first weekend there, I didn't really care to be around anybody. I just stayed in the bed and slept. Going on the second week, I signed up for trustee. I signed up for the trustee, and I went over there. It ain't what I thought it was going to be. Like, they would wake us up 5, 6 in the morning, and we got to go start doing work. And they wasn't allowing me to have my iron pills for my anemia. So I started falling really weak, and my stomach used to just be hurting early in the morning, and you couldn't use the bathroom the way you wanted to. They wake you up 5 minutes, then you got 5 minutes to eat. You got to brush your teeth and all that. Then you got 5 minutes to eat, and then it's like we're out the door, and it's just like constantly rushing. So being over there in trustee was stressful to me. And I still kept level-headed. So far right now, I can't stand trustee. I'm doing everything I can to kind of like get from over here. We in the lingerie room one day doing the clothes. The women do the clothes. It's a radio in there. We get to listen to different music. Everybody kind of take their turn and we rotate what station we gonna listen to. I happen to want to listen to gospel. I just felt like I needed some uplifting. Like, we listen to country, we listen to rap, we listen to R&B, we listen to classical. It's like, you know, I asked, can I listen to gospel music? This is my first time asking, could I hear something for myself? This white girl, she's like, oh, nobody wants to hear any gospel music. And so I'm just like, you know, I just want to hear one song. So I'm kind of like embarrassed because it's like, why you gotta make a big deal out of it? Like, what's so wrong with me listening to what I want to listen to, everybody else have? So me and her kind of like, she kept saying little slick stuff, kind of trying to go back and forth with me, but it's like, I really don't want to get into nothing with nobody because I already know if you fight in here, you catch more time. And that's all I was thinking about. Like, you know, don't get into it with nobody because you got to go home. You've already got enough time. You got to go home. And I also had seen people get into it and catch time when they had a shorter release date than the person they got into it with. So I'm kind of like, just like, girl, whatever. And I happen to tell her, like, you don't even know who wake you up in the morning. Like, yes, I do know who wake me up in the morning. And basically saying it's not God. So it's like, okay, and no need for me to go back and forth with you. She was one of the little popular girls in the dorm. So it felt like everybody, I don't want to say gang up on me because you're not finna gang up on me, but it was like everybody kind of kept their distance. Like, nobody wanted to really talk to me or interact with me. Nobody, which it really didn't matter because I don't really know none of y'all anyways, and I'm definitely not in here to make no friends. But it was just like, it felt like a blow to the chest because it's like, dang, everybody going against me because I wanted to listen to gospel music. And I watched like all the girls in there act funny towards me. I even sat there and watched them sit at the table and pray with each other one day. And you could tell some of them, it was just like follow the leader. They know they weren't, you know, doing right because I ain't bother nobody, I ain't mess with nobody. That was the first sign of real, just seeing how you can be defeated for speaking on God or wanting to be, you know, just anything to do with God. I really wanted to get out of trustee after that. My anemia was getting worse. I was telling the nurse, hey, I'm getting to a point I'm about to pass out. She did not want to give me iron pills. They finally did the blood work, and when the blood work came back, that's what made them release me from trustee, and they gave me they prescribed me my iron pills. When I got out of trustee, before I got out of trustee, a certain thing happened. One of the black girls that was in there, and she was like a pretty cool black girl. I didn't do a lot of talking to her and her clique. I mainly really talked to my roommate or just other people who I probably went to church with. This particular black girl, she was always in high spirits, probably older than the rest of us, and she just, you know, was the leader of the pack. You could tell she ran the whole little dorm in a way. One day she was crying. Something had happened with her son, and I was so nervous. I was so nervous to really even speak out in this way. But I just walked over I just felt the need to be encouraging to this girl. Encouraging. I walked over to her and I said, can we pray? Do you want to pray? And she said, yeah. And I sat there and I prayed and she cried, and I just asked God to shield and protect her son and just work out the situation with what she got going on. Nothing long, nothing, out there, because I still feel like I was new to God in a way. I didn't know everything. Yeah, I done read a lot of the stories in the Bible, but I done did everything amongst myself, really. Nobody done really sat there and taught me everything step by step on what's what with the word. I talked to this girl, we hugged after we prayed. I ended up leaving the trustee dorm. Once I got back to regular population, I felt a little bit more better. It was a lot bored. It was real bored, but I felt a lot more better. I would go to church every time they were having church every week. I would always sign up for church. I was not being involved in anything messy. I went to school. I wasn't, passing letters to the guys or being gay for the stay. I wasn't doing nothing that I felt would be sinful towards God, because I wanted to get out of there early and I wanted to get my time reduced because I felt like I wasn't in there for what they said I was in there for. Anyways, now that I've hit population again, back in population, my cellies. It's like it's one battle to the next. My roommates, I'm cool with them. Then it's a white girl coming in. This little preppy, probably got some money, a little bit on the wealthy side, white girl, older than me. For some reason, she would just be a bitch with me. She'd just be like, act funny with me, always trying to say something slick. And I would kind of just ignore her because, again, I don't want to catch no charge in here. And like, girl, if you... Some people, they don't know. Like, they want to look good. They want to look fly. They want to act tough. I'm not finna do all that because you playing. You playing. And I'll take this farther than I even expect to take it. I'll take it farther than I even know I could take it. So let me let you have it. Let me let you have it. I know I'll drag you up and down the concrete in this rock road 4x8 cell. I know what I do to her. So I would let her have it most of the time. One day I finally just got fed up with this shit. Went off on her. And I was just like, Lord, you gotta do something, because I'm about to beat her up. She's trying to start with me the kind of way she can. Once it got to that heated moment where I just had to like, Lord, you gotta do something today. They took me out of the cell and they set me outside of the dorm in a cage for a little bit to calm down. And I was scared I was gonna get in trouble. Once the guards found out who was doing what, who was keeping up, whatever, they moved her to a whole different dorm. And it was just like a big relief, like, Lord, thank you, like, for getting her, moving her out of my way. So God moving, he's showing me in different ways to have faith, to trust in him, how to have discernment and let him guard me and lead me in certain situations. That's one. One of my roommates, she had twins. Her parents were racist and her twins were mixed babies with black and white. So being that she's in jail, her parents are willing to keep her one child, her oldest child, that is fully Caucasian, but they don't want to keep her twins that are mixed race. So eventually I got switched to a different room, so I would still come and hang out with my bunkies who I was originally in the dorm with when I came in. So one day, like 3 of my old bunkies come to my new cell, and they like, St. Louis, and everybody called me St. Louis, come here right now. So I'm like, what's going on? Like, they come get me. I go downstairs to the bunkie. One of my bunkies, I go down to the old cell room with my old bunkies, And one of them sitting there, the one with the twins, she's just, you know, crying, you know, oh, they about to take her babies, her mama not gonna keep them, she gonna send them to DCF, and what am I supposed to do? The only thing I knew to do in that situation, because what other reason would y'all come and get me? I prayed with them. I said, let's pray. Everybody else, they left out the room. I don't really remember if they left out the room or not, but I remember me and her in there praying while she was crying. And I sat with her for a minute and I talked, and then I went back upstairs. And it did. It worked out with her and her parents. Her parents ended up taking to her children and just loving on them. Like, it turned all the way around. And that's a crazy situation all by itself. But in my mind, I'm still not thinking like, you ain't nobody. You somebody in trouble and you're in jail and you don't know God enough like that to be praying for people. Like, girl, you really just learn how to talk to God really and pray and use your words properly. So I'm still thinking like, dang, like this, you know, just certain things coming over me. I'm praying for bunkies. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to church. I'm speaking up in church. I'm giving testimony in church. I'm singing in church. People always asking me to sing. They come to my room, to my cell. They're like, St. Louis, you'll sing this song for me. You'll sing for me. Wanting me to sing gospel songs for them. So that's another thing. Like, I'm just noticing the little changes. Like, whoa. Like, who am I? I'm nobody. Like, one day, this new girl comes in. She was a pretty chick, white girl, colored hair, just real beautiful face. She almost looked like a model. But nobody would talk to this girl. Nobody would get close to her and interact with her or nothing, because she had like some type of buzz, some sin nets or something like that, because being that she was homeless, she was sleeping outside at the beach, so she got ate up pretty bad by sand nets. So at first I was kind of like, you know, I ain't treat her funny or act funny or talk bad about her like I seen some other people doing, you know, like, get away from me. I'm not going to talk to her. I'm not going to be around her because I don't want it, and I don't want it, you know, the whole mean girl. Anyways, the girl kind of stayed by herself. You could tell she was mentally strong. She was sitting outside one day. I'm sitting outside talking to one of my cellies, and this girl just, I see her sitting there trying to meditate. Like, she got her hands like this and stuff. She's trying to meditate. So I say, I'm just watching her. Me and my friend talking. We just, you know, chilling outside, and she just break down crying. This girl, she just break down crying. It's like, my friend looked over at her, I looked over at her, and I was like, I looked at my friend, and my friend just went talking back about whatever we was talking about, like, so what, like, anyway, da-da-da-da. So I looked at my friend, it's like, I can't do that. Like, I can't watch nobody sitting down, breaking down the cry she was crying. You could tell it came from her soul, like, she was hurt. And I just got up. I left my friend sitting there, and I went over there, and I talked to her, and I just, you know, was asking her, was she okay, and just listening to whatever she wanted to talk about, whatever she had to say. My friend came over, so we both sat there. We was kind of talking to her, and I was asking her, like, what do she believe in? And she said that she believed in the universe. She believed in the sky, the sun, the moon, the trees. That's what she believed in. And I said, you ever seen, I learned this from somewhere. I think I read it in a book, but I just love this saying. It stuck with me because it made so much sense. It was just a beautiful metaphor. So I told her about this thing that I had read. I said, you ever seen a beautiful painting, a beautiful picture? And I said, everything is painted and drawn to perfection. A work of art. Said, it's, you know, it's a beautiful sculpture. And I said, in the bottom of that sculpture, or that painting, is usually an initial or a name, the author. And I said, this whole universe, I said, this is God's art. You're God's art. We're God's art. And he created us. And I just went to talking to her about Jesus. And when I gave her that metaphor, she really liked it. Like, she was like, okay, like, I get it. And, you know, we talked and we hugged at the end. I didn't make her feel any type of way about the little, you know, the bug bites on her arm. I didn't make her feel no way. And we, you know, we didn't ever, you know, have a conversation no more after that. Eventually, this girl started going to church in the jail. And she said that she started going to church. One day after church, this particular day, I don't think I went. I didn't go to church that day. I didn't go. And when she came back in the dorm, I was in my cell, and I heard her or somebody else say that she gave her life to Christ. She got saved when she went to church that day. And the whole dorm just started cheering. The whole dorm started cheering for this girl. And I didn't go out of my cell or nothing. I just smiled. I just smiled and I said, thank you, Lord. Like, that's another one. That's another one. Thank you, Lord. I ain't go out there and be like, oh yeah, I told her that. No, because I didn't. I didn't tell her to, oh, you need to do this, or you need to. No, I didn't. I just talked to her about Christ and what he did for me and just what I done been through and how he done got me through it. And that girl gave her life to Christ. That girl got saved. And that's just was another sign God showing me, like, more and more. I think that was the biggest sign for me of God showing me that, you know, like, I'm gonna use you. I'm gonna use you. And I'll say, last but not the least, there was this one woman in here, a white woman. Her and her husband had got arrested for child abuse. I believe the child had passed away. I'm not exactly sure what happened with the details, but I know the husband and wife was arrested. This woman, nobody would talk to her. Nobody. So to me, it was looking like she was just ready to, you know, probably commit suicide. Like, you could tell, like, she don't want to eat. She's sitting on the corner to herself every day, just off to that corner, and nobody is interacting with her. And I don't even think this woman had ever been to jail before. And I honestly don't think she's the one that killed the child, but I don't know. I didn't get the details of this woman's story. And I honestly didn't want all of the details. After just keep seeing her in that corner by herself and seeing her like she's on edge, I went over and talked to her. I went over there and sat in the corner with her. And I say, you know, basically trying to just ask her a little bit about herself and let her talk to me and tell me what she felt. And I asked her to pray. I said, you should pray. And she said, I don't know how to pray. And I remember when that was me, when I told somebody, I don't know how to pray. I didn't know how to pray. I remember telling somebody that. I sat there with her and I told her, I said, you have your conversation with God. And I said, you end it in the name of Jesus Christ. I say, and whatever else down the line, he'll make sure you learn and that you get what you need. And I believe me and her hugged and stuff like that. And I didn't talk to her for too long, but I did share a moment with her. I'm not sure what happened with her situation, but, you know, I felt the need to speak with that lady, just talk to her, you know. But another amazing thing that happened, I had one of the best birthdays in my life. in jail. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm not a child that ever really like had, you know, birthdays celebrated growing up. So while I was in jail, I turned 25. I think I turned 25 or 26. And, you know, I didn't think nothing special or nothing. I had seen other people in there. They have like, they make all the cookies and make all type of stuff for them for their birthday, and everybody get together and put in. I had even helped with other people's birthdays and stuff like that. We would do talent shows, and I would be the host and just different stuff like that. So when my birthday came around, like, you know, I don't really get any canteen or anything. I don't have no hustle or nothing. So, and I don't have a lot of friends in here. Like, I'm pretty like okay with everybody, but I'm not really in everybody's face. I'm kind of to myself, or I talk to just a few people here and there at this point. I'm not even really interacting with my old sellies like that no more. Just kind of to myself. And that day I seen people making like little stuff, but I ain't thinking nothing of it. I would say probably like later that night, one of my homegirls came to my cell and was like, "Oh, come downstairs real quick," and for something they wanted me to come see something or something. So they made it like it wasn't no big deal. So I'm trying to hurry up and, you know, come down there. And once I walked out of my cell and got to the stairs, everybody was just like, "Happy birthday!" Da, 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 da. And it was so sweet. Like, it was just like nothing like that never happened to me. Like, my birthday being celebrated in that way. And people had cards, and they had all type of little foods that they made. They had all type of little foods that was made, and they was making music. It was like beating on the table. People was like just doing their little big one, and it was so nice. It was so nice. And I did like a little dance, like a little twerk, and they was like, somebody called me church lady or something. All right. Something they said about me picking at me because they know I was always in church and I was always talking about God. But yeah, that was a real special moment, and it's crazy when you can say that one of the best birthdays you've had out of your 35 years of living was in jail. And I haven't ever been celebrated in that way since. But I'll say the last specific, God bless you, the last specific thing I'll say that happened was me just watching all of the girls in the dorm room getting into it, bumping heads, girls who would be cool with each other. And like I said, I always kind of stayed mutual. I wasn't really in nobody's face like that too much. I'm watching these girls beef literally about nothing. They're fighting in the rooms. You know, girls who used to get along, now they're bumping heads, going in the cells and fighting, risking our freedom even more. And I just was fed up, and I just went to, you know, venting on how I feel, talking to all of them. And everybody got quiet. Everybody got quiet in the dorm. And they just listened to what I had to say, and I was just letting them know, like, what are we doing? Like, we in here, it's bad enough we already in here, and then we arguing, putting each other down, saying all type of nasty, vile things to each other. When we all done been through stuff, like, all I see is just broken women, like, and we're breaking each other even more. And I just was telling them how they ain't got to sell their bodies, because a lot of these women, they be outside on the streets. It's hot, girl. It's nothing. It's nothing to turn a trick. It's nothing to, you know, they living that lifestyle. They really living that life. And I just was telling them, you ain't got to sell your body. You ain't got to do this. You ain't got to, like, you know, and everybody was just walking around quiet listening. And the drama actually died down. Like, they cut it out. Like, it was shut the up. And it wasn't no more fights after that. It was kind of, you know, a little bit for the rest of that day, at least copacetic. And I remember before I got out, I was scared. I had completely cut all ties to my ex-girlfriend while I was in there. And I just felt like, am I really going to be strong enough to turn my back on that lifestyle? Am I going to be strong enough to not go back to that homosexual lifestyle when I leave out of here? And I just felt so scared because I felt like I really didn't know if I could. I didn't know, even though I didn't caught these charges and I'm in here for this girl and I haven't talked to her in months. And I was even moving on before I went to jail. So for me to still be thinking 7 months later about how I don't know if I'm strong enough to walk away was just mind-boggling. The day that I got out of jail, I was driving down the road. I didn't have no phone. My cell phone was off. And I think I was actually about to go pay my cell phone bill. My dad had gave me money to pay my cell phone bill. And I pulled up to the red light. Now, this is the day I got out of jail. I pulled up to a red light on a just random road. And my ex-girlfriend pulled up right next to me. She pulled up right next to me. And we linked up. I remember just looking at her, like looking over across the car at her, like, and I ended up messing around with her that day, and I went right back down the same path I had just left from. After God had done used me, after all the learning, so I know it's probably here and there, a lot of stuff, and maybe that's not, this story is not the biggest deal, like, oh, God used you because he was having you pray to people, he used you because you were, you know, talking to people about stuff. You will have to see it, you will have to feel it, you will have to experience it to know what I'm saying. Praying for people, talking to people about certain stuff when you don't feel equipped to, when you don't feel like you're anybody of importance or special to speak on certain things, but God using you to do it, but people coming to get you, but people calling your name to come, but people asking you about it, people asking your opinion on what you think. People don't even want to cuss around you. People don't want to disrespect you. People don't even want to let nobody else disrespect you. I watched God move and do a lot of things. I even had my first bunkie and trustee. She was Catholic. And I ended up talking to her about God and about Jesus. And she was interested. She was really intrigued. And I asked her, I said, do you believe what I'm telling you? And she was like, I don't know. She was like, but what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense. And one day before I left trustee, because I left her behind, I seen her sitting in her bunk reading the Bible. I seen her sitting there reading her bunk, in her bunk reading her Bible, a Catholic. But I want to end this off by saying, when God is trying to use you, let him use you. And before you tell God to use you, make sure you're ready. Make sure you're ready. Because I wasn't ready. And I found myself upset with God before I realized what he was doing in my life. And I'm honestly, I don't want to say I was happy about being in that situation, but I'm grateful for that experience and God just letting me know, like, what you say, when I use you to speak, when I use you to be a source, speak. Don't be scared. Don't doubt yourself. And when it was going on, I didn't even have time or room to doubt myself. It was like right there in front of me. And I didn't look at it like, oh, it's an opportunity to preach the word, to say the word. And I didn't look at it like that. It's just like, dang, like this person right here, you could tell like they need somebody right now. They need somebody to talk to. They need a good, you know what I'm saying? Something. They need something. And I just felt like I had to do something. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I talked to all them girls who I talked to, even the ones when I was scared to talk, even when I I don't even think God done ever even used me like that since. If he did, I don't know it or can't really, and I'm pretty sure he has. But that experience, the way, like, you would have thought people treated me like a pastor in there, which honestly, and people, y'all can say what y'all want to say, but I don't believe in women pastors. I know as women, I do listen to women who speak on the word and they're speakers and, but as far as like a woman preacher, I'm not going to follow a woman pastor. I'm just not. But yeah, I didn't feel like I was being preachy and stuff like that. I just felt like I wanted to be there for somebody. I wanted to tell them God's mercy, God's grace, God's genuine, deep, unconditional love. Let me tell you where to go. Let me tell you who to call, because him, that's him. He gonna, yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to my story. And if you have any testimonies of how God used you and what he did, leave it in the comments. I greatly appreciate it. I love when you guys share your story, or at least just tell me what you think about my story. And I hope I didn't confuse anybody. I'm a little bit ADHD, on the spectrum a little bit. I really appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch. Until next time, bye.